Picture the set of Laura Kuenssberg this morning, not a general in uniform, but the Defence Secretary John Healey explaining accommodation policy. He's not terribly good on television. That framing is the message. This is no longer a siloed Home Office issue. Healey said military planners are already working with the Home Office to identify both military and non-military sites to speed up the closure of hotels. It's the choreography of grip. It's also the choreography of fear. Reform UK is on the march and Labour knows it. The headline offer is simple enough to fit on a lectern. Move people from hotels into barracks and prefab blocks. Two sites already familiar to viewers in Essex and Kent. Wethersfield remains in use. Napier Barracks, slated to wind down, is now set to stay open longer because the numbers keep coming. The politics writes itself. Get out of pricey hotels that become protest magnets over the summer and into state-controlled sites that feel tougher, cheaper and orderly. It also, from my point of view, is something of an achievement to leave the hotel chains that have been fleecing the taxpayer with their pockets hanging out of their trousers and looking looking penniless. It serves them right for taking advantage of the vulnerable. Do the numbers justify the theatre? Well, in August the monthly total was the lowest August since 2021. Then came a surge. Yesterday alone saw more than 1,000 crossings recorded in official updates. Cumulative figures this year have been running ahead of 2024 at the same point. That is why the government is reaching for visible action. The camera loves a fence, a gatehouse, a perimeter light. But of course, the government needs to accommodate not just those who have just arrived in this country, but those who have received an initial assessment and are then waiting. So this is a waiting game, and together with this process of moving people into barracks, the government should be looking at finding a way to move some of those people into the community, possibly issuing them with what in Europe would be the equivalent of a pink or a purple or a rose card, allowing people to rent accommodation, to apply for jobs and so on, and to take some dignity and demonstrate their commitment to our way of life by contributing to tax. And now there's Shabana Mahmood, new brief, new tone, and the promise is hotels shut sooner, modular accommodation on Ministry of Defence land for single men. The subtext is harder law and colder climate. Ministers have even floated tightening how courts apply the right to family life and have not smothered speculation about recalibrating ECHR constraints. There is a calculated audacity here. It undercuts Farage's script while borrowing its posture. It also risks shredding returns deals with EU partners if the legal floor gives way. Politics loves a drumbeat. International agreements prefer a metronome. Reform UK, for its part, offers a steel and slogans solution: modular detention centres in remote locations, mass removals promised on an heroic timetable of 2 weeks. But when pressed, it's 2 weeks after the laws have gone through Parliament and through the Lords. Their head of policy says no shipping containers, just purpose-built units. This is Theatre 2, painted in bolder colours. The difference is that Labour must govern the supply chain, the planning hearings, the safeguarding protocols, the judicial reviews, and neighbours with megaphones, populist promise, governments procure. Now the hard bit, barracks sound firm, but history is instructive. Large campsites have been called harmful by medical and humanitarian groups, and the legal challenges have not vanished with a change of party. A mass site is a pressure cooker. It concentrates vulnerability, legal complexity, and local hostility inside a fence. One riot, one fire alarm failure, one inspection report, and your symbol of order becomes a symbol of misrule. The difference between order and optics is the duty rota at 3 a.m. Healey's appearance was also a page in a larger script. After Angela Rayner's resignation and a head-spinning reshuffle, the government needs a clean line to camera. Phase 2 is delivery. That is why the Defence Secretary is on asylum duty and why non-military sites are suddenly back in fashion as talking points. It's also why speculation swirls about the vacant deputy leadership. There is already somebody occupying that role for a placekeeper. But if you want a name for the real person who's going to turn up after a proper election, I would suggest you take Emily Thornberry. She's sharp, litigate ready, on air, and was parked too long on the sidelines after Starmer came into power. The party needs a countertenor to Farage's pub baritone. Thornberry can sing the aria, land the job, a good mezzo-soprano. But if the government mistakes staging for solution, it will lose the second act. 3 tests decide whether barracks policy is substance or stunt. First, backlog velocity. If initial decisions are not faster, camps become warehouses with parade squares. Capacity without effective policy and process is just a cost centre with better lighting. Second, the returns credibility. The briefings speak of a deal with Germany and one already inked with France. Good, if they survive the legal weather. Without a dependable outbound lane, every inbound lane overflows again by Christmas. Third is the lawful firmness. If ministers overcorrect on human rights, they may win a headline and lose the court, the treaty partner, and the moral frame. If they undercorrect, they lose the headline and still lose the court. The line between proportionate control and theatrical cruelty is thin and heavily litigated. So, what should viewers take from today? The Starmer knows he has a problem he cannot outsource, that Mahmoud will move fast and ask the lawyers to keep up, that Healy is lending the optics of competence while his planners do the unglamorous arithmetic about beds, showers, clinicians, caseworkers, buses that actually turn up. And a final word on the Farage factor. You cannot outshout a man whose business card is a microphone. You can out-administer him if barracks are clean, safe, finite, genuinely temporary, if decisions are quick and fair, if returns are dependable, if legal routes are clearer, the temperature may drop. If not, you will have built a louder stage for your critics and taught the audience to boo in unison in one place. This morning on the BBC was not really about buildings, it was about authority, and the government is betting that a guardhouse key and a chart of who is in what particular bed can beat a grievance. That might, but only if the gates lead somewhere other than another holding area with better press photos. The problem is, this comes very close to a concentration camp. We might have invented that, but the image of concentration camps has taken a much darker turn during the 20th century. And that's not something, really, I think that we want to encourage. I don't think the parallels need to be pursued. Added to which, Jenrick's cartoon fiasco in an earlier holding centre again lends a leaden weight to the whole idea of barracks and large holding areas full of frustrated, alarmed, anxious individuals.